The morning sun cast a warm golden stripe across the floor, but it wasn't the familiar patch of sunlight in his own cozy home. Oggy, the cat's eyes fluttered open, not to the sight of his favorite armchair or the usual chaotic mess of his living room, but to a scene of astonishing opulence. He was curled up on a plush velvet pillow at the foot of an enormous four-poster bed, draped in shimmering silk curtains that pooled onto the floor like liquid silver. The air smelled strange, a mix of old parchment, sweet incense, and something else, something zesty and electric. Confused, he lifted his head, his whiskers twitching as he scanned the cavernous bedroom. Sunlight streamed through a towering stained glass window, painting kaleidoscopic patterns on the stone walls, which were lined with ornate tapestries depicting mythical beasts in mid-flight. Where was he? This certainly wasn't his house. A soft chime echoed from somewhere distant, and Oggy's ears perked up, a shiver of unease and curiosity running down his spine. Pushing himself off the ridiculously soft pillow, his paws sank into a thick, luxurious rug as he cautiously padded out of the bedroom. He found himself in a grand hallway, the ceiling so high it seemed to touch the clouds. Portraits with eyes that seemed to follow him lined the walls, their subjects dressed in peculiar pointed hats and flowing robes. As he crept along, he peeked into an open doorway and froze. Inside, a library stretched out before him, but it was unlike any library he had ever imagined. Books with leather-bound covers floated gracefully through the air, occasionally opening themselves to flutter their pages before settling back onto a shelf. He watched, mesmerized, as one particularly large tome drifted by, its pages flipping rapidly as if an unseen reader were eagerly consuming its contents. Further down the hall, a bubbling cauldron sat over a hearth with no fire, its contents a swirling iridescent green. A ladle, suspended in midair, dipped into the potion, stirred it 3 times, and then neatly placed itself back on a nearby table. Oggy flattened himself against the floor, his fur standing on end. This place was alive with a silent, humming energy, a magic that was both wondrous and deeply unsettling. His exploration led him to a circular room at the end of the corridor. A study filled with celestial charts, gleaming astrolabes, and shelves crammed with scrolls and strange crystal-clear orbs. The centerpiece of the room was a large wooden desk cluttered with quills, ink pots, and half-finished star maps. The air here was thick with the scent of ozone and dust. As Oggy navigated around a precarious stack of books, his paw inadvertently landed on a marking etched into the wooden floor. It wasn't just an etching. It was a complex circular room that began to glow with a soft, ethereal blue light the moment he touched it. He snatched his paw back with a hiss, but it was too late. The light intensified, flaring from a gentle glow to a blinding, brilliant white that consumed the entire room. The humming energy he had felt throughout the house converged on this single point, roaring in his ears like a furious storm. In the blink of an eye, the intense light vanished, and the roaring sound was replaced by the familiar, comforting tick-tock of his own kitchen clock. Oggy found himself sprawled on his well-worn living room rug, right next to a pile of his favorite toys and a half-eaten can of tuna. The scent of old parchment and incense was gone, replaced by the normal, slightly fishy smell of home. He blinked, his head spinning as he looked around at the glorious, predictable mess of his living room. Was it all a dream? He shook his head as if to clear it, but a faint, shimmering blue dust fell from his fur, catching the light for just a moment before disappearing. Oggy stared at the spot where the magical dust had landed, his feline mind reeling from the impossible journey he had just taken, forever changed by the memory of a world just beyond his own.